Every year there are a ton of free games that come out, and there are always a few that really stand out. Today at gameranx we're talking about the top 20 free games of 2017. Starting off at number 20, we have Fallout Shelter. Yes, I know it's been out for a few years now, but it's just now hitting Steam, so we thought it was worth talking about because it's really good. You manage your own Vault-Tec vault and work to keep your dwellers happy. You'll be giving them certain jobs, working on relationships, managing resources, and protecting your vault dwellers from bandits and other wasteland dangers. I spent way too much time playing this on iOS, and I promised myself I wouldn't download it on my PC, but I figured we'd recommend it in an attempt to eat up all of your time. Moving on to number 19, we have Hide and Shriek. Hide and Shriek just went free to play this past Halloween. It's actually a pretty interesting game. It's a 1v1 multiplayer game where both players are trying to scare each other, except you're both invisible. So you have to see how the environment interacts with your opponent, or use spells and set traps to reveal their location. To win, you have to shriek or scare them using one of the many masks in-game to actually scare them and get the point to win. It seems kind of silly, yeah, that's because it kind of is, but silly isn't necessarily bad. It's definitely nothing that's gonna blow your mind, and it seems kind of just okay, but you may get a fun night or two out of it with a few friends. Moving on to number 18, we have Pro Evolution Soccer 2018 Lite. With the Lite version, you obviously aren't getting the whole game. You get access to My Club, League Mode, Training Mode, and offline exhibition matches. My Club and League Mode are the two big selling points here. My Club lets you build your dream team of soccer players with different players popping up all year, and League Mode lets you play online against other players. Honestly, this is lacking a lot coming from the paid version, which as expected, it is the Lite version, and players really aren't too fond of this, but we definitely wanted to give those sport game lovers some sort of a shout out. And at number 17, this next game has been out for a little bit now, but it's just coming to Xbox One. Path of Exile is a Diablo-style dungeon crawler, and it's all about the loot here, and comes off less grindy than Diablo 3, which is definitely good. With a lot of hidden stuff that you aren't going to even see until dumping a good amount of hours into it. With the amount of loot to collect and the size of the skill tree that you'll be working with, you'll be spending a good amount of time here. There's also a really cool PvP scene here as well, which isn't something you get with Diablo 3. The name of the game here is definitely customization and looting. Constantly working on bettering your weapons, armor, and spells is what's going to keep you playing. And the dev team updates it constantly, so there's always something new to jump into. And as a bonus, there are no pay-to-win elements at all, so it's a total level playing field. At number 16, we have RoboCraft. You remember BattleBots and how badly you wish you could build your own robot to battle with? Well, this kind of lets you live out that dream. You'll be able to build and customize your own robot out of over 250 cubes, so you can really make almost anything you want. Then after building your robot, you get to take it online and fight other players' robots. Every month there's new stuff added to this game, so it's always changing. I love a game that lets you play with your imagination a bit, and this game does do just that. Coming in at number 15, we have Fire Emblem Heroes. When Fire Emblem Heroes was announced for mobile, I knew it was going to be a perfect fit, and it turns out it's pretty damn close to being perfect. Engaging in quick strategic battles and working towards adding classic Fire Emblem heroes to your roster is super fun and addicting. It doesn't stray too far from the combat system that you know and love. It does remove certain things, like the series staple permadeath isn't here, but it gets the job done for a mobile game. Enlisting heroes happens by you spending magic orbs that you earn by playing, although most times you really won't be dropping high ranked characters. There is a chance, but it's very low, but you can combine duplicates to level up that hero. And with daily challenges and timed events happening all the time, there's more than enough stuff here to keep you playing. Nintendo definitely didn't mess this up, so good job, Nintendo. And at number 14, we have Alien Swarm Reactive Drop. This is a top-down twin-stick shooter that features co-op. This is just good old, simple twin-stick shooting that's more on the level of like Helldivers and not as ridiculous and crazy as something like Nex Machina. It has a single-player campaign and modifiers that you can throw on to make it a bit more difficult and change it up a bit. It also has co-op support that supports up to 8 players, which is a lot of players. Top-down twin-stick shooters are always a blast, and with this one having Steam Workshop support, it can be even more fun with some of the wacky stuff you can get through the workshop. Coming in at number 13, we have Paladins, which is a hero shooter that has a lot of similarities to Overwatch, like a lot of similarities. Just like Overwatch, it's a hero shooter with each hero being pretty different from one another, but Paladins makes use of a card-based system, which I know a lot of people don't like because it's getting kind of old, but I still don't mind it for now anyway. These cards are used to power up your hero, getting them to play exactly how you want them to play. You start off with a base deck, and as you play more, you'll unlock more cards that you can use to enhance your deck, which actually gives you something to work towards besides a cool skin, so I can appreciate that. And within the next year, Paladins will also receive a Battle Royale mode called Battlegrounds. Yes, Battlegrounds, which is weird for obvious reasons. So yeah, this game is definitely going to be changing a bit more once this mode releases, and I guess we'll be finding out how that is soon enough. And at number 12, we have Black Squad, which is a first-person shooter that's kind of like a mix of Counter-Strike and Call of Duty. Control and gunplay-wise, it definitely seems more like CSGO, but because of the map layouts and the pace, it does tend to feel more like Call of Duty. I don't know if that sounds bad. I can't really decide if it is, but it does control very well, I will say that, and because of the amazing netcode the dev team brags about having, the hitboxes here are great and spot on. But don't worry, no issues like you have with Ash when you're playing Siege, even though I don't think that's a hitbox issue, but I digress. The devs also say that this is a skill-based game, not pay to win. All the weapons are unlocked with in-game currency, while you spend real money on cosmetics. The only bad thing about this game really is that it can come off as kind of bland and uninspired and doesn't really do much to set itself apart from the other big first-person shooters out there today. And moving on to number 11, we have Phantom Dust Remastered, which wasn't free to play when originally launched, but it just hit free to play in 2017. If you've played the OG game, you know exactly what's up here because this remaster is just straight up the original game. Nothing's really changed. The card-based real-time battle system is still intact, and what's great about Phantom Dust is that unlike most, but not all free-to-play games, you're getting a good chunk of single-player content here as well. So if you're more into playing games alone, you can totally do that. It's also an Xbox Play Anywhere title, and also features crossplay, so you can play with whoever you want to play with and can jump back and forth between Xbox One and PC. And at number 10, while World of Tanks is just tank-on-tank combat, World of Warships is that, but with naval combat. It gives you access to over 200 naval warships that you get to build your fleet with. All the ships also look really good, seeing that this game is all about the warships. That's not really a surprise. The dev team did a great job making these ships look great. These battles all take place across real-world locations, and they also require a good amount of strategy from you. Slow and steady wins the race here for sure. With all the different ship classes you get access to, you have to make sure that when you're picking your ships, you use them carefully and make sure you're using them all together. You can be firing at your opponent with your battleship's big-ass guns, and keep your opponent busy while you bring the destroyer up for a flank unnoticed. All of these ships are customizable too. You get access to different flags, camos, and equipment mods. If you're a warship aficionado, this is definitely right up your alley. Coming in at number 9, we have VR Chat, which really isn't a game, I guess, but kind of comes off more as like a weird fever dream. Really, it's more of a really weird chat room. Like, there is a game there somewhere, but I don't think people play it for that, I think. This has definitely become more of something to jump into and like screw around for a little bit and get a few laughs then dip. It's pretty much like being in a voice chat, except you can run around in VR and there's a ton of weird custom avatars running around you, and you could sit at the bar and have a drink with Hank Hill, Sonic the Hedgehog, and like Garfield. It's actually really kind of creepy, but I love all the wacky stories and videos that you can find online that's come out of VR Chat, and if you own a VR headset and plan on jumping in, just enter at your own risk. Next up at number 8, we have Gwent the Witcher card game, which is the card game from The Witcher. Yeah, there are a lot of card games out now, digitally and physically, but Gwent is one of the good ones. I played through and beat The Witcher 3 twice now, and both times I spent way too much time just playing Gwent and not hunting monsters. And I'm guessing I'm not the only one because CD Projekt Red gave us an entire Gwent game. I find Gwent way more interesting than Hearthstone and Magic, to be completely honest, because it's kind of different. It's more about bluffing and faking out your opponent. And that's not me taking a shot at Hearthstone or Magic. I've spent a dumb amount of money on Hearthstone, and while I've never played Magic myself, it's always seemed very cool. I just like that Gwent is doing something a little bit different, you know what I mean? It's simple, but still fun. Technically, this game is still in early access, but there is a full launch, including a single-player campaign that is expected this year. Moving on to number 7, in a world where we haven't gotten a new Super Smash Bros. Game since 2014, Brawlhalla is worth checking out if you've got that itch, but you're tired of playing an almost 4-year-old game. It's very similar to Smash. Your objective is to beat the shit out of your opponent, send them flying off the stage, trying to eat up all their lives, or scoring points each time you do it, depending on the mode. There's a nice size character roster here as well to choose from, each playing a bit differently, and this game has more of a focus on weapons as well, which is a nice little change from Smash. And while there is a nice character and weapon variety, the same can't be said about the maps. They're kind of like boring, and there's nothing that sets them too much apart besides like floating platforms placed in different places. But besides that, definitely a fun game, and if you're in the mood for something similar to Smash, then I would check this out. At number 6, we have Starcraft II, which I'm assuming you know already. Well, it went free to play in 2017, so if you haven't played it, or if you've been itching to play it, now's a good time to jump in because it's absolutely free. But don't get too carried away. Just like every other free-to-play game, you aren't getting access to everything right away. You get the Wings of Liberty campaign for free, you get access to most of the Versus mode, and you get total access to 3 of the commanders, with the others only being free up to level 5. If you're looking to play casually, this really might not hurt you too much, but if you're like really trying to get into it, you're going to be spending a little bit of money. At number 5, we have the Elder Scrolls Legends, which shouldn't be looked at as just another card game. Just like Hearthstone, it's one of the better ones that really stands out on its own. There are some great card designs here and more than enough modes to keep you playing. There's also a story mode that's essentially a tutorial, so I definitely recommend checking it out. And it's full of Elder Scrolls lore, which is nice, seeing that Bethesda's just been giving us Skyrim ports for the past few years. It's nice to get something new. While it definitely isn't as visually appealing as Hearthstone, it definitely holds its own in an oversaturated genre. Next up at number 4, we have Doki Doki Literature Club, which is something that I feel like blew up and just kind of came out of nowhere. For those that don't know, Doki Doki is a visual novel where you play as a male high school student who joins a literature club, and it follows you interacting with 4 girls who are also in the club. Before looking further into Doki Doki, I just assumed that it was a dating simulator because that's kind of what it looks like looking in from the outside, but it's actually more of a horror game, which actually really threw me off because it doesn't look like that at all. While it does have a fairly linear story, you'll be faced with certain decisions that will affect which way the story goes, so there's definitely some replay value there. Personally, I'm not crazy into this, but I'm definitely in the minority here because everyone else loves it. Coming in at number 3, we have Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. This definitely wasn't the Animal Crossing game that we wanted, but it did work with holding people over for a little bit. In Pocket Camp, you're constantly working towards upgrading your campsite with different pieces of furniture and different amenities, and the same goes for customizing your camper and your character. The game can get pretty addicting though, and you have to be careful of how much money you spend on those Leaf tickets. Also, Nintendo, if you're listening, can we please just get an Animal Crossing game on Switch now? Please? Thanks. Moving on to number 2, we have Warframe, which has been going strong for a few years now. Do you remember when the PS4 came out and you were playing all your cool launch games and you ignored that one weird free-to-play game? Well, Warframe is that weird free-to-play game. And no one's talking about Killzone anymore, they're talking about Warframe. Because this is a quality-ass game that just keeps on giving. You play as a Tenno, who is essentially a space ninja, and you just fuck up aliens. You're always working towards upgrading your character, armor, weapons, perks, the usual. It's definitely a loot grind. That's what's going to keep you playing. And the amount of upgrades available here is insane, and what's even more insane is the amount of upgrades that you can get without actually spending a cent. The gameplay itself feels very good too, and it's super addicting. So if you're a big fan of Destiny 2 and you've gotten bored and you feel like getting back on that loot grind again, I might look into Warframe, because as much as I love Destiny 2, I could definitely learn a thing or two from Warframe. And finally, at number 1, we have Fortnite Battle Royale. So this is the big one of 2017 that I already see being the big one of 2018. Fortnite originally launched as a PvE only title, and then after the success of PUBG, Epic launched the Battle Royale mode, which is in my opinion, the only other Battle Royale game that even comes close to being as good as PUBG. The building mechanics mixed with the goofy, colorful art style makes it stand out. It actually does some things better than PUBG, I'd say. One of PUBG's biggest issues is a lack of progression. You don't feel like you're getting anything out of playing besides like the same pair of shoes that you've dropped 6 other times. Fortnite, on the other hand, has the Battle Pass, which offers up a good amount of cool rewards. Also, Fortnite's cosmetics are just much better than PUBG's. As soon as that Raptor outfit hit the store, I bought it immediately. And those are the best 20 free-to-play games of 2017, but we want to hear from you, so meet us down in the comments and let us know what you think. Also, as I'm sure you already know, hitting the like button really helps us out, and if you're new here for some reason, subscribing is a good idea because we put up new videos every single day. As always, we really appreciate you stopping by to hang out with us, but we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.